The darkness is a physical weight. After the blinding flash of the muzzle from Elias's rifle, the blackness that follows feels even more absolute. My ears are ringing, the high-pitched whine a constant reminder of the violence outside the door. "Stay down, Elara." Elias's voice is a jagged command from across the room. I'm pressed against the cold concrete floor behind the kitchen island. I can smell the ozone of the gunshots and the salt of the ocean spray coming through the now shattered windows. Shadows dance against the ceiling, not from lights, but from the tactical flashlights of the men moving through the garden. Another window breaks, followed by the rapid-fire thud, thud, thud of a suppressed weapon. "Elias!" I scream as I see his silhouette jerk backward. "I'm fine," he grunts. I hear him hit the floor, the heavy slide of his rifle racking another round. They're using the cliffside. They're coming up the balconies. Panic, cold and oily, slides down my throat. Julian always told me I was a delicate flower, a creature meant for sunlight and soft music. But as a man in a tactical vest silhouettes himself against the broken glass of the balcony, I realize that girl died in the guest room 2 days ago. The man doesn't see me. He's focused on Elias's position across the room. He raises his weapon, the red dot of his laser sight dancing across the floor toward where Elias is pinned. My hand goes to the waistband of my jeans. The metal of the handgun is cold, biting into my skin. "No more lies," Elias had said. "No more weakness." I pull the gun out. My hands are shaking so violently, I think I'll drop it. I remember the weight. I remember the sight. I remember the way Elias's hands felt over mine, steadying the world. The intruder takes a step forward. He's closing the angle on Elias. In 3 seconds, he'll have a clear shot. I stand up. I don't think about the morality of it. I don't think about the girl who used to volunteer at the library. I only think about the man who stood in front of a bullet for me. I pulled the trigger. The kick was more than I expected in the heat of the moment, the sound a deafening roar in the enclosed kitchen. The man jerks, his weapon firing a useless spray into the ceiling before he tumbles backward over the railing, disappearing into the dark surf below. I collapse back to the floor, my heart trying to beat its way out of my chest. I did it. I actually did it, Elara. Elias's voice is closer now. I feel him slide across the floor next to me. He smells like sweat and gun smoke. He reaches out, his hand finding the back of my head, pulling me into the crook of his neck. "You're okay. You're okay." I hit him, I whisper, the gun still gripped in my white-knuckled hand. "You saved me," he says, and for the first time, I hear a tremor in his voice. It's not fear, it's awe. But we have to move. They've breached the basement. They're coming up from inside the house. He grabs my hand, pulling me toward the back stairs. We move through the dark like ghosts. The house I thought was a fortress now feels like a tomb. "Where are we going?" I pant as we reach the garage level. "The back way. There's a sea cave entrance Julian never knew about." We reach the heavy steel door of the garage, but before Elias can punch the code, a voice stops us cold. "Leaving so soon?" And here I thought we were having a family reunion. A flashlight flares to life, blinding us. Standing by the black SUV is a figure I recognize even in the glare. He looks disheveled, his expensive suit wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot and manic. "Julian?" I gasp. He's holding a gun. It's shaking in his hand, but it's pointed straight at Elias's heart. "You took everything, Elias," Julian screamed, his voice cracking with a high-pitched, pathetic desperation. "My money, my apartment, my girl. You think you're the hero? You're a thief. You're a rapist." "I took what you sold, Julian," Elias says, his voice dangerously calm. He doesn't raise his rifle. He just stands in front of me, shielding my body with his own. "You put the price tag on her. I just paid it." "I was going to come back for her," Julian sobbed. "I just needed time. I had a plan." "Your plan involved her being used by the veins." I say, stepping out from behind Julian. My voice is cold, a shard of ice that cuts through Julian's hysterics. "Elara, honey, come here," he pleads, reaching out with his freeze hand. "I can fix this. I've talked to Dad. He'll forgive us if we just give him Elias. We can go back to how it was." "It's never going back," I say, raising my own gun. Julian's eyes go wide. You wouldn't. You don't have it in you." "You're right," I whisper. "The girl you knew didn't. but you gave her away, remember? Behind us, the door to the stairs bursts open. The Vane's men have arrived. Down, Elias roars. The garage explodes into chaos. Julian screams and dives behind the car. Elias spins, his rifle spitting fire toward the doorway. I scramble for cover, the world dissolving into flashes of light and the scream of ricochets. In the confusion, I see Julian. He isn't shooting at the intruders. He's aiming at Elias's back. He's going to kill his brother to save his own cowardice. I don't hesitate. I don't breathe. I aim for the man who loved me and pull the trigger. The bullet hits Julian's shoulder, spinning him around. His weapon clatters to the floor. He falls, wailing like a child, clutching his arm. Elias finishes the last of the men in the doorway and turns, seeing Julian on the ground and me standing there, the smoke still curling from my barrel. Elias looks at his brother, then at me. He doesn't say a word. He walks over, picks up Julian's fallen gun, and tosses it into the corner. Then he grabs me by the waist, hoisting me toward the hidden tunnel entrance. "Leave him," Elias says, his eyes hard as flint. "Elara, don't leave me, please!" Julian's cries echo off the concrete walls. I don't look back. I follow the wolf into the dark, leaving the boy to the monsters he created. The tunnel is narrow, damp, and smells of ancient rot. We move in silence, the only sound the rhythmic slapping of the tide against the cavern walls further ahead. My hand is still locked in Elias's, his grip so tight I can feel the pulse thrumming in his palm. Or maybe it's mine. We emerge onto a jagged strip of private beach, hidden from the house by the sheer curve of the cliffs. A small, high-powered inflatable boat is tucked into a crevice of rock. "Get in," Elias commands. He pushes the boat into the surf, the engine roaring to life with a low, muffled growl. As we pull away from the shore, I look back. High above, the concrete fortress is glowing. A fire has started in the upper floor. Julian's museum is finally burning to the ground. I think of Julian back there, wounded and waiting for the men he tried to appease. A week ago, the thought would have shattered me. Now, I feel a terrifying, hollow nothingness. "Why did you do it, Elias?" I ask over the spray of the salt water. He doesn't look at me. He's focused on the dark horizon, his hand steady on the tiller. He kills the engine. We're miles out now, bobbing in the black expanse of the ocean. The silence out here is absolute, save for the lapping of the water against the hull. He finally turns to me. The moonlight catches the scars on his knuckles and the raw intensity in his eyes. "Because I've been watching you for 2 years, Elara," he says, his voice a low, rough confession. "Every holiday, every family dinner Julian forced me to attend so he could show off his perfect life, I saw you. I saw the way you looked at him like he was a god, and I saw the way he looked at you like you were a piece of fine china he was bored of owning." I catch my breath. "You were there? You barely ever spoke to me." "Because if I spoke to you, I would have taken you then," he says, stepping toward the center of the boat. It sways under his weight. He reaches out, his hand sliding into my hair, tilting my head back. "I saw the bruises he hid with makeup. I saw the way he gaslit you until you didn't know your own name. He didn't just sell you to me 3 days ago. He's been selling pieces of your soul for years to keep his ego inflated." I didn't think. "I thought he was just stressed," I whisper, the realization of my own blindness stinging more than the salt air. "He's a parasite," Elias growls, "and I'm a predator. There's a difference. A parasite hides. A predator takes. I took you because I knew if I didn't, he'd eventually give you to someone who wouldn't give you a choice. Someone who would use you up and throw you in the trash." He slides his hand down to the diamond at my throat, his thumb tracing the sharp edge of the stone. "I wanted you to see him for what he was. I wanted you to hate him so much that the only thing left for you to hold on to was me." "That's sick, Elias," I breathe, my heart racing. "That's not love. That's an obsession." "Is it?" He leans down, his lips inches from mine. "You shot him tonight to save me. You chose the monster who told you the truth over the hero who told you lies. Tell me, Elara, in this world of ours, what's more honest than that?" He kisses me then, and it's not the kiss of a protector, it's the kiss of a man who has finally claimed the prize he's been hunting for years. It's dark, possessive, and tastes of the sea. I pull him closer, my fingers digging into the leather of his jacket. I know he's right. My life with Julian was a curated lie. This, the blood, the cold, the boat in the middle of a dark ocean, is the first real thing I've ever felt. "Where are we going?" I ask when he finally pulls away. "South," he says, restarting the engine. "I have a contact in Mexico. New names, new lives. But it won't be easy. My father won't stop, and the veins will want their pound of flesh." "Let them come," I say, looking at the gun resting on the seat beside me. Elias looks at me, a slow, dark smirk spreading across his face. He reaches out and squeezes my hand. "That's my girl." As the boat speeds into the darkness, leaving the burning remains of my past behind, I realize I'm no longer the girl who was waiting for her life to begin. My life began the moment the blindfold was tied. And I'm never going back to the light. The heat in Baja is different from the cold, clinical air of the cliffs. It's thick, smelling of dust, salt, and rotting fruit. We've been in this safe house, a crumbling hacienda with peeling ochre paint, for 3 days. To the world, we are dead. To each other, we are the only things that exist. Elias is a ghost here. He speaks the local dialect with a harsh, guttural fluency, moving through the markets and back alleys to secure us passage further south. Every time he leaves, I sit by the window with a black handgun on my lap, watching the dust motes dance in the stagnant air. I'm staring at my reflection in a cracked mirror in the hallway. The girl with the soft eyes is gone, my skin is tanned, my hair is a tangled mess of salt, and the diamond necklace Elias gave me looks like a jagged tooth against my throat. I hear the heavy thud of the door. I don't flinch. I just lift the gun. "It's me," Elias's voice calls out. He enters, looking haggard. His shirt is soaked with sweat, and there's a new tension in his shoulders that makes the air in the room tighten. He drops a bag of supplies on the wooden table and walks straight to me, pulling me into his arms. He doesn't say anything, he just buries his face in my hair and breathes. "What happened?" I ask, my hand resting on his heart. It's beating too fast. "My father's reach is longer than I thought," he mutters, pulling back to look at me. "He didn't go to the police. He went to the cartels. He's put a bounty on us, not to bring us back, to erase the embarrassment." "And Julian?" Elias's jaw tightens. "He's alive, barely. The veins took him, just like I thought they would. But they didn't kill him. They're using him to track us. He knows your habits, Elara. He knows where you'd want to hide." "I don't have habits anymore, Elias. He doesn't know this me." "He knows you love the ocean," he says, gesturing to the window. "He knows you can't stand the cold. He's smarter than he looks when he's desperate." He grabs my hand and leads me to the table. He spreads out a map, but his hands are shaking. It's the first time I've seen him unsteady. "I found a boat, a freighter leaving from Ensenada tonight. If we get on it, we can disappear into the islands. No paper trail, no family names." He looks at me, his eyes dark with a sudden raw vulnerability. "But before we step on that boat, are you here because you have nowhere else to go, or are you here because you want to be?" The question hangs between us, heavier than the heat. I look at the gun on the table, I look at the diamond, then I look at the man who shattered my life only to build a fortress around the pieces. I spent 22 years doing what I was told. I was a daughter, a student, a fiancée. I was a gift for a man who didn't even want me. With you, I'm a person, a dangerous, broken person, but I'm real. I'm not staying because I have to, Elias. I'm staying because I'd rather be in hell with you than in heaven built on Julian's lies. He lunges for me then, his kiss desperate and hungry, a silent thank you that tastes like salt and salvation. We don't have time for more. We pack our lives into 2 bags and head for the door. We don't make it to the car. The sound of tires screeching on gravel echoes through the courtyard. 3 SUVs, identical to the ones at the fortress, swerve into the plaza, kicking up clouds of yellow dust. Elias pushes me behind a stone pillar. Get to the back. There's a crawl space under the kitchen. No, I say, checking the magazine of my gun. We do this together. Elias, listen to me. The front door of the hacienda is blown off its hinges, but it's not a cartel hitman who walks through the smoke. It's Julian. He's pale, his arm in a heavy sling, his face gaunt, but he's holding a gun in his good hand, and his eyes are filled with a terrifying glassy light. Behind him are 2 men I don't recognize, Arthur's men. I found you, Julian whispers, a manic smile stretching his lips. I told them you'd be near the water. I told them you couldn't stay away. Julian, go home, Elias says, his own rifle aimed at his brother's chest. You've done enough. You've done enough? Julian laughs, a high, broken sound. You took her. You turned her into this. He gestures at me, at the gun in my hand, at the hardness in my eyes. She was perfect. She was mine, and you made her a murderer. She's alive, Julian, Elias roars, which is more than she'd be if she stayed with you. If I can't have the girl I loved, then nobody gets the monster you created. He doesn't aim at Elias. He aims at me. The world slows down. I see the flash of the muzzle. I hear the roar, but I don't feel the lead. Instead, I feel the weight of Elias throwing himself in front of me. The impact sends us both crashing to the floor. Elias! I scream, a wet, horrible sound that I'll hear in my nightmares for the rest of my life. Julian stands there, staring at his brother's bleeding body, the gun slipping from his fingers. He looks like he's just woken up from a dream. I didn't mean, I was aiming for her. I don't give him a chance to finish. I don't give the men behind him a chance to move. I fire. Once, twice, 3 times. Julian falls. The men behind him scramble for cover, but they weren't expecting a girl to be their biggest threat. I grab Elias by the collar of his shirt, dragging him, his heavy, bleeding body, toward the back exit as the room dissolves into a hail of gunfire. Stay with me, I sob, my hands slick with his blood. Stay with me, Elias! Go, he wheezes, his eyes fluttering. Get to the boat. Not without you, I snarl. I find a strength I didn't know I possessed, hauling him into the old truck we had hidden in the back. I floor it, the tires screaming as we tear through the back fence, leaving the screaming and the smoke behind. As I drive toward the harbor, the sun setting over the Pacific in a bleed of violet and orange, I look at the man dying in my passenger seat. I am a murderer, I am a fugitive, and I am finally, truly free. The white sand of the island is so bright it burns. It's been 6 months since I dragged a dying man onto a freighter in Ensenada, 6 months since the blood of both brothers stained my hands, and 6 months since Elara Vance ceased to exist. I sit on the porch of a small, salt-bleached shack on the coast of a place that isn't on most maps. The air is thick with the scent of roasting coffee and the low, constant thrum of the tide. I'm cleaning the handgun. It's a ritual now, a form of meditation. I slide the cloth over the barrel, making sure every trace of salt and grit is gone. I don't think I'll ever be able to sit with my back to a door again, but I've learned to live with the tension. It's the price of the air I breathe. The screen door behind me creaks open. I don't reach for the weapon. I know the rhythm of this footstep. It's heavy, slightly uneven, a reminder of the bullet that shattered the lung and a rib but failed to take the heart. You're going to rub the finish right off that thing, a voice rasps. I look up. Elias is leaning against the doorframe, his chest bare, showing the jagged purple starburst of the scar Julian left behind. He looks thinner, his face more angular, but his eyes are still the dark, consuming fire they were the night of the blindfold. Better the finish than the functionality, I say, a small, sharp smile tugging at my lips. He walks over and sits on the bench beside me, his thigh pressing against mine. He smells like the sea and the antiseptic cream I still apply to his wound every night. He reaches out, taking the gun from my hands and setting it on the table. He replaces it with his own hand, lacing his fingers through mine. I heard from the mainland today. I stiffen. And? Arthur is dead, a heart attack in a boardroom. The family business is being carved up by the veins and the feds like a carcass in a wolf den. And Julian? I asked, the name feeling like a piece of glass in my throat. Elias looks out at the turquoise water. He survived the shooting, but he's a ghost now, Elara. He lost the use of his hand, and he lost the family name. Last I heard, he's living in a halfway house in a city where no one knows who he is. He's exactly what he always was. Nothing. I leaned my head on Elias's shoulder, closing my eyes. I expected to feel a rush of triumph, but there's only a quiet, settling peace. The war is over. The debts are paid. Do you regret it? It's a question I've asked 100 times in the dark of night. Taking me, the fire, all of it. Elias turns my face toward his thumb tracing the diamond that still hangs from my neck. I never took it off. It's no longer a collar. It's a medal of honor. I'd burn 1,000 houses to find you in the wreckage again, he whispers. I didn't just take your virginity, Elara. I took the girl who was dying slowly in a glass cage and gave her the world. If that makes me a devil, then I'll take the throne. He kisses me, and it's no longer a transaction or a desperate plea for survival. It's a claim. It's the sound of two broken things fitting together to make something new, something jagged, but something that can't be broken again. I think back to the night of the transaction. I remember the fear, the betrayal, and the crushing weight of the silence. I think of the girl who thought love was a bouquet of lilies and a polite promise. She's gone. In her place is a woman who knows the weight of a gun and the heat of a man who'd kill the world to keep her. It isn't the life I was promised, but it's the life I chose. The sun begins to set, dipping below the horizon and painting the sky in the colors of a bruise, deep purples, angry reds, and a fading golden light. What now? I asked. Elias stands up, pulling me with him. He looks toward the water, where a small boat is bobbing in the surf, ready to take us even further away if the shadows ever catch up. Now, he says, his arm wrapping around my waist, pulling me flush against his side. Now we live, and God help anyone who tries to stop us. We walk toward the shore, our shadows stretching out long and dark behind us, two ghosts walking into a future written in blood and diamonds. The glass house is gone, the cage is open, and the wolf finally has his mate.